rumors when it comes to the trade market that he just magnified a little bit. Love The Athletic. If for no other reason, because they get us talent like Sam and our next guest each and every week, Matthew Barrows. Matt, good morning. It's Dave. Jason is out today. How are you, sir?
I'm great. So this is Solo Dave I'm talking to today?
Solo. It's just you and I, just like the olden days.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
That's right. That's old school.
That is very old school, the oldest of old school. And we're talking about the San Francisco 49ers, who went into the Valley of the Sun. And I wouldn't say it was easy. I'm sure Steve Wilkes and friends are going to have some tough conversations today, giving up 29 points. But you know what? A win is a win is a win. They covered the spread. They went down and got a road win, so you got to be happy with that.
Yeah, they won by 16 points, and it wasn't always pretty, but they took care of business. And you could see other teams losing this game because there were some elements that, were difficult for the 49ers, one of which is that they were playing a team coming off its bye. And, the Cardinals don't have much to play for. This is sort of their Super Bowl at this point. Knock off the best team in the league in our house. And then the 49ers, of course, also were without two of their four starting defensive linemen, the two guys in the middle, and they're playing a team that likes to run the ball. So I think the 49ers understood going in that this would not be one of their dominant defensive performances where they hold the Cardinals to, 10 points, or I think they were holding teams to 11.6 coming out of the bye. And so it sort of kind of went to script with what they were expecting. They thought that, okay, the defense might have some struggles in this game, but the offense should be powerful enough to take care of business and create a lead that, by the end of the game, the outcome's not in doubt. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's why Arizona was able to rush for 234 yards on a 7.8 average with 2 touchdowns. Where are we, by the way? I know it's early in the week, but what are your thoughts on some of those injuries going into obviously the big matchup Monday against the Ravens?
We saw Javon Hargrave doing a lot of work on a side field. He was out with a hamstring injury. To the point where, they had the big giant hula hoop, and the defensive linemen run around that. And so he was doing all of that. So that told me that, okay, this guy is pretty close to coming back. So I would expect him back for the Ravens game. Eric Armstead, we didn't see him at all. So he's more of a question mark, I think. 50-50 shot as to whether he's back for this game. But that's, having Hargrave back is a big one. And then I'm not sure about Diamador Lenore, who had a rib injury. Wasn't very prominent in the game, but he left the game, didn't come back. So his update today, I think, will be a big one because, in that defensive backfield, it's like a game of dominoes. You move one piece, and then there are, 2 or 3 other repercussions of that. So if the 49ers didn't play with Diamador Lenore, that would mean that, Isaiah Oliver is playing the nickel spot, and B, Ambry Thomas is a full-time starter on the outside. So Diamador Lenore, a big linchpin to that secondary, which has been playing really well coming out of the bye.
Do you expect, as we talked to Matt Barrows, do you expect Nick Bosa to show up on the injury report at all? He got rolled up on in just kind of a fluke situation. One of his teammates pushing another guy, rolled up on the back of his leg. You saw him limping around a little bit, but do you expect to see him show up at all in the designation?
Yeah, if he does, I don't think it's going to be serious. He sort of dismissed it yesterday as nothing, and he may have left the game for a play or two, but he was back in after that. So that's usually a good sign that all is well.
Christian McCaffrey with MVP-like numbers. Touchdown on the ground, 2 through the air, combined 187 yards total. But he's got another MVP candidate on his team, Brock Purdy. Let me ask you this first off, assuming everybody keeps playing the way they're playing, McCaffrey at his level, Purdy at his level, you got Dak, Jalen Hurts, to a couple others in there. Can Christian McCaffrey realistically even win the MVP this year?
I think so. I mean, it's a down year for quarterbacks overall. You don't have Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, dazzling this season. Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy are the top two, and I think that Purdy should get it. But I'm just trying to get in the minds of voters. He doesn't have a lot of track record with those voters. Dak Prescott has been up and down. So you would think that if in any year you're going to go away from a quarterback as the MVP, this one might be it. And, if McCaffrey has a couple more games like this to close out the season, and by the way, he was fantastic against the Cardinals in week 4. I think he had 4 touchdowns in that game, 3 or 4, and then did the same here. I mean, that catches your attention because Brandon Ayuk was mostly quiet. George Kittle was mostly quiet. Deebo Samuel had 2 touchdowns, but he didn't have a huge Deebo Samuel-like game in terms of yards. Yesterday was all about Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey.
And when you look at that, let's, again, assuming, and it's a big assumption, that they are able to beat the Ravens on Christmas Day and then win out, which I don't think would be a huge assumption. They're 14-3. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. And as it stands right now, Brock Purdy, number 1 completion percentage, number 2 in yards, number 1 in touchdowns, just 7 interceptions. Dak Prescott threw one yesterday. He had a terrible game, so they're tied up now. Leads the league in QBR, leads the league in rating, and again would be the guy at the helm of the number 1 team in the NFL seed wise. But to your point, you think even perhaps then the lack of familiarity. I mean, does he have to have a housewarming party? Does he need to go to a couple weddings? What does Purdy need to do here?
Well, he sent out, I don't know if you remember this from last year, but he and his roommate, Nick Sactown, who's still his roommate, by the way, gave everybody holiday cards inside the locker room. Maybe, if you multiply that by, I don't know, 1 million or so and send them to everyone, that'll help kind of get the Purdy name and face out there. I do think that Christmas night against a 3-loss Ravens team with Lamar Jackson as the counterpoint or counterpart, that's going to go a long way. This is the last primetime game that they're going to play, and if people need convincing, Brock Purdy could do a lot of it on Christmas night.
Matt Barrows joining us. So we move ahead to that game. Baltimore won yesterday. We were talking about earlier, Christopher Ladd and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't expect you to, but Matt, if this isn't the latest, obviously not counting the Super Bowl, but if this isn't the latest in the season, the number 1 seed in the NFC and the number 1 seed in the AFC are going to meet, it's gotta be close. I mean, you have a legit, no hyperbole, possible Super Bowl preview, and it's happening in the third to last game of the year. That's pretty amazing in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this one. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I think the 49ers are already favored by 5. That's a big deal. That's a big number when the other team is the top seed in the AFC right now. So it'll be fun to watch. I think the Ravens have shown some vulnerability recently. They've had some injuries, but that's a team that knows how to win. And I remember the 49ers going to Baltimore late in the 2019 season. The 49ers just had a real kind of murderer's row of opponents to end that year. And they played the Ravens tight, but Lamar Jackson was the difference. He scored with his feet, he scored with his arm, and that's the peak. And the 49ers, due to Lamar Jackson, what they've been able to do to Jalen Hurts and to Kyler Murray in recent weeks.
And that's kind of what I was going to ask you there too. I know they're different players. I fully acknowledge that. And I also know that, as we talked about earlier, the Niners have had some injury issues. But getting Jalen Hurts and then Kyler Murray 2 out of the last 3 weeks, in your opinion, does that get them in a little bit more Lamar Jackson shape as opposed to if they had played the Chargers and name the other team that does not, Matthew Stafford? Is that good for them, or does that even matter?
Why are you attacking Easton Stick like that? Wow.
Sorry, my bad.
Man, geez.
You're right. My bad. Great
Easton
game.
Stick is catching strays by Dave. But to answer your question, yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. That, this has been a top focus for them, not allowing the quarterback to gouge them with his legs. And it was different between Hurts and Murray. Hurts, it's all about the A and the B gap, just kind of squeezing through the middle of a defensive line. Murray, it's more kind of scattershoot. He's all over the place, especially on the outside. I would think that Lamar Jackson is, he's almost a perfect composite of the two because he does have the speed. He's really elusive, but much more so than Jalen Hurts. He's got his eyes downfield all the time too. So you can't just be worried about him running, or else he'll beat you with his arm. He's just been doing this for a lot longer. It'll be interesting to see what the 49ers approach is. They obviously have an extra day to prepare for it, an extra day to kind of heal up and rest up, which I think is a big deal for them. But, after that is a short week to Washington, which will be another challenge to end the season.
Well, let's end this interview kind of how we started it. We were talking about Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, McCaffrey and Purdy. Is there to you a realistic opportunity if the Ravens come into Levi's Stadium and win, and Lamar Jackson, he'd have to be a huge part of that, by the way, for that to happen anyways. He outplays Purdy. Could he be a late spoiler and come grab his second MVP trophy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what I was trying to describe earlier was a situation where it's sort of up for grabs. And, if you're an undecided voter and you see a primetime game, a big primetime game with all sorts of consequences, and one guy really shines, that's going to sway your vote. And Lamar Jackson's got, some good arguments to make. I mean, he's lost some weapons this season, and he's kept that team afloat. So now it depends what your criteria is. If you're a stats guy, it's really hard not to pick Purdy because, as you noted earlier on, he's leading the league in all sorts of important categories. But there may be other criteria you use.
Well, that's Matt Barrows, who is the all-time leader in appearances with me on this station by a long shot. You can read him each and every week at The Athletic. It's Christmas time, holidays. They have a ton of great deals. Guys like me, we pay full retail pop. That's fine. Happy to. It's a steal at twice the price, but you can get in there for as low as $1 a month right now. Just go to theathletic.com or download the app and get yourself some fine writing and commentary from folks like Matt Barrows. I appreciate you, and I really hope, Matt, we'll have to talk about this because that's right. Next week is Christmas. I think we'll be moving around our times. We're off Monday, Tuesday, but whatever time we talk next week, I hope we're talking after a big Niner win. Yeah,
I'm around all week. Call me Wednesday. Dave, you can call me anytime. You're such a long-time subscriber. We got to get you a pen or a T-shirt or something for your loyalty.
Hey, because I've been promising me a hat, a hoodie, a something. I even say, look, we're on YouTube with tens of viewers. It's free advertising, blah, blah, blah. I mean, my goodness, I've had my subscription from the jump. But as I said, it's very worth it. Happy to help in some minuscule way support the journalism we need. So have a great weekend. Matt, seriously, happy holidays to you and your loved ones, and hopefully we all get a nice win for Christmas. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, David.